Hey there, welcome to another Slightly Redneck video. Still talking about container gardening this week. I've got a presentation I've got to do this weekend at the local Seed and Plant Exchange Club. The meeting, the topic is on container gardening, raised beds, and square foot gardening. So really been playing with these container gardens a little bit. And this is a Rubbermaid roughneck 18-gallon container that's a self-watering container. The dirt only goes down to about there. You can see that on camera, maybe not. Anyway, about 6 inches down from the bottom up is a water reservoir, and there's a wicking system in the middle of that. So what I'm going to do is take this Rubbermaid container here today, and I'm going to show you how to turn it into one of these self-watering containers. Let me get you in a little bit closer, and I'll show you how this container works, and then we'll get on to the build. Okay, so this is my self-watering container. I've got this, the lid, the remaining of the lid. Basically, what I'm going to do is cut the middle of the lid out, and that becomes my platform down on the bottom to separate the dirt and the water reservoir. I've got this hose. This is just irrigation hose. I've got it hooked up to, if you can see it out there, got it hooked up to the end of a hose right there, so all I got to do to fill this thing up is hook my hose into it and run the water until it comes out the drainage hole. There's the drainage hole right there. And that's just about, a half an inch, maybe a little over, 3/4 of an inch below where the dirt line is. That gives me an air chamber between the dirt and the water. I've got carrots planted in here right now, so I guess that's about it. So we'll get on to building this thing and show you how it's done. Alright, so this is what I'm going to use to build this with. I've got a sour cream tub. You could use anything. This is going to be my wicking chamber. I'm going to drill some big holes in it like this, all the way through it, just some big holes. I'll cover it with landscape fabric when I'm done, or the inside of it anyway, so I don't have to worry too much about the size of the holes. And I'll cut it down just a little bit because it's a little bigger than what I need it to be. But that'll be my wicking chamber. That'll go in the middle. It'll be covered with landscape fabric on the inside and then packed with dirt to wick water up to the top. I've got my irrigation hose here, and I just bought this I think I bought this at Lowe's. I just went and found a piece of irrigation hose, and that's going to be my hose to fill it with. And then I've got a drill and a box cutter here to do my cutting with. And inside the tub, I've got a couple pieces of PVC pipe that are cut off at about 7 inches, I think. So I can't remember, I didn't measure them exactly, but these are going to be my supports. So these are going to go in the corners, and they're going to be what the lid sits on to form the barrier between the dirt and the water. So I've got 6 of these right now. I'll put 1 in each corner, and then I'll put 1 in the middle on each side, and then I'll have my middle wicking pot, and that'll be plenty of support for this to hold it up. So first thing I need to do, and as far as supports go, use anything, it doesn't matter, just something sturdy. About 6 inches tall, 6 to 8 inches tall is about as tall as you want it. I've used soda cans before, empty soda cans, they work just fine. Just drill a hole in the bottom of them so they don't fill up with water, they have a way to drain. But other than that, they work just fine, just set them, same ways, work them out. First thing I'm going to do is measure out where I want my hose. And I'm going to put it on the side right there. Way easier to do all your drilling and cutting on this lid before you cut it out. I'm going to need to cut it out, but it's way easier to drill on here. So nothing special about this. We've got a 7/8 inch bit, which is about the right size for this hose right here. Make sure I've got that right. Yeah, about the right size for this hose right here. So I'm just going to pick where I want it. Probably right about there. Move that in just a little bit. And then I'm going to drill a hole there. Now I have a place where I can fish my hose down through. And that's going to become where I'm going to add water to it from. I'm going to take, I forgot my Sharpie, I'm going to have to go get it. Take this, I'm going to draw a line around the bottom. This thing kind of expands as it goes up, so I want to cut the bottom. That way whenever I set this on top of it, it doesn't just slide all the way through. It actually has some support because it's a little bit wider at the top than it is at the bottom. So that's my idea on that. Let me get my Sharpie, get that drawn out, and then I'm just going to cut it out with a box knife. Okay. So I've got that hole cut out, and that should work just fine. It's not quite big enough for that to fall all the way through, so it'll work as an extra support as well. So the next step would be normally drill a bunch of holes in this for drainage. Just put a smaller bit on your drill and go to town drilling away. Just drill holes all over. It doesn't need to be any kind of specific pattern. You can put them in a nice row, make them look nice and neat, but it's all going to be covered by dirt. Nobody's going to see it anyway, and I've got a little bit of a faster way to do that. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and cut the lid out here because that's where you're going to cut it. You've got this ridge right here that goes around the lid. Basically, you're just going to cut it right around that ridge. So let me get that cut out, and we'll go on to the next step. Alright, there we go. So that should fit. And I'll put it right down in here and show you how that's going to fit. It fits pretty tight in the bottom of this container here. It's not going to fit perfect. I could cut some ridges out for it, but what I'm going to do is just lay a piece of landscape fabric down in here to cover up these gaps where there's holes in there, and then I won't have to worry about it, so I'm not going to mess with that. So I need to put some drainage holes in this, and like I said, I've got a little bit of a faster, easier way to do it than using a drill. So let's go put some drainage holes in the lid. Alright, well, this is my easy way to put drainage holes in the bottom of my self-watering container. So about 3 or 4 shots. It fell off the target stand, so I got to go put it back up. Well, you can see I got holes in it now for sure, and a lot easier and a whole lot more fun than just drilling them in there. So I'll probably put a couple of bigger holes in it, and I think I'll take one more shot at this thing to get a couple more holes in it. But that's my quick, easy way to put drainage holes in the bottom of your self-watering container. So, you know, a little bit maybe slightly rednecked, but it works. Well, that was sure a heck of a lot more fun than just running a drill. So anyway, I did go ahead and drill a few more holes. Some of these I drilled on the corners here, and I need to clean this up a little bit, but I'm running out of daylight, so I'm kind of in a hurry to try to get this video shot before my daylight goes away. But I drilled some holes all through it. It doesn't really matter for drainage holes. It's just for water to drain out so it doesn't pool up inside there. So really, just any number of holes, you can make it look a whole lot prettier than what I got. But like I said, this is going to be all covered with dirt, so who cares how it looks. You won't see it once we get the dirt in there. But what I did is I took these pieces of PVC pipe, and again, these are about 7 inches high, you know, 6 to 8 inches high supports is about what you need. Raise it off the ground about 6 to 8 inches. And I drilled some holes in them so I can run some zip ties and zip tie them to the lid itself, so they don't wobble around and move around and fall over underneath there while I'm moving this around, because this is a giveaway I'm going to give away at the you know, the presentation I've got to give this weekend at the Seed and Plant Exchange meeting. So I'll show you how I do one of these, and then I'll go back and do the rest of them off camera, because you get the idea. So anyway, my point to that is I'm not going to fill this up with dirt today, because once you fill it up with dirt, it's going to be incredibly hard to move. So zip tie those in the corners, and you know, if I was going to fill this up with dirt, I probably wouldn't even bother doing that. No, it's not holding on there. I'm gonna have to get a longer zip tie, but you get the idea. Zip tie it down there if you're going to be moving it around. You know, like I said, if I was building this for home and I was going to fill it with dirt immediately when I got done, I wouldn't even bother zip tying. Just set them all up in the corners, set this on top of them, and let me show you how this is kind of going to go together. Okay, so hopefully you can see I got my supports set up around the corners. This is just going to set right on top of them. I'm actually going to flip it over because it wants to bend that way anyway. And then show this real quick, what do you call this, wicking pot. I've already drilled a bunch of holes in it. It's got a bunch of trash I got to throw away, which I'll get rid of here in a minute. But that's my holes, and again, I'm going to line this with landscape fabric when I'm done. So this goes down in there. It's going to sit on those supports, center the wicking basket underneath. And again, once you got weight on this, those aren't going to go anywhere. So if you're going to fill it with dirt immediately, don't even have to worry about tying those things down. I don't know how I always manage to get a phone call or a text right in the middle of a video, but I do. Alright, so take my irrigation hose, and there's the hole for that, and I'll poke it down through there. Now, if you pick up one of these ends, this is a hose fitting for this hose. So what I will do is I'll pop it on this end of the hose, so that, and it just pushes on there. It's kind of a pain to get on there initially, but all I do is I just take it, sit on the end, and I push it on there, and you got to push pretty hard. There it goes. It's on there. Screw that down until it's tight. Now what that's going to do is prevent this from pulling back through. So if somebody pulls on it, it's not going to pull back through. So it gives you kind of a little bit of stability. These are, I don't know, maybe $1 a piece, so it's not that big a deal. I'll just stick one on the end. There's probably easier ways to do it. I'll stick one on the other end as well, so I can hook a hose up to it to keep it full. But that's pretty much all there is to it. I'm going to set this down in here, like so. Then the next step is I'm going to take a piece of landscape fabric, lay it over the whole thing, make sure it covers all the inside of the wicking down to the bottom, and comes up the sides just a little bit, and that's going to keep the dirt from falling down through the cracks and the crevices in there. And then I'll fill it up with dirt, make sure my hose is where I want it positioned on the side, and we're pretty much ready to go. The only other thing we got to do is we got to put a drainage hole in it. So now I'm going to do that on this side because I've got, I want it on the same size I'm filling it on, so when I'm filling it up I can see when it's full. So what I'm going to do is measure, take one of my supports here and measure up. Then I'm going to work my dang, let's make sure you can see that. I'm going to turn it on its side. Take one of my supports, measure up how high it is, and then I'm going to go about half an inch or so below that, the top of that. I'm just going to drill a hole right here in the middle. Need to sharpen my drill bit or something. That was way harder than it should have been. But anyway, clean that hole up a little bit, get your trash out of it, and you're good to go. That's about all there is to it. I'm not going to go ahead and finish this out because, again, this is a giveaway I'm going to give away, so I've got to do a demonstration on how to put it all together once I get there. So anyway, hopefully you get the idea. Once this goes inside there, then you fill it up with your dirt, treat it just like any other self-watering container. Of course, you got to set your supports up and whatnot, and start watering, and you're good to go. Just fill it up until water comes out the little drainage hole in the side, and that's it. That's all there is to it. I'll take you over here and I'll show you one more time on my other one that's already going how that works. This may be kind of hard to see because I'm going through the side of the deck, but here's my hose. Right here, there's the end of my hose. I made an extra long hose so I could have plenty of reach. I've got a quick connect on here, so I just connect my hose to it and I'm good to go. Here's the drainage hole. If you can see that, I can't see in the camera in there at the same time. Anyway, there, hopefully you can see. Let me get the camera a little bit closer. So there's the drainage hole there. So I'm going to turn the water on now, and it won't take long. It's probably pretty much full. So I'm going to turn the water on, and all I do is turn this on and run it until there we go. And you can see water's coming out that drainage hole. And it is full. Turn it off, and we're good to go. I know this wasn't a complete video, but I think I gave you enough to get a pretty good idea how this thing's going to work. So, thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned something, and as always, God bless.